Hi guys, welcome to the channel. We've been keeping tabs on information circulating amongst the heavyweights of the government in Yaoundé. And I must tell you that for you to squeeze out information out of people who are in that circle is as difficult as getting water out of a rock. Everybody in that circle now is lip tight. And when I say lip tight, I mean lip tight. Why? Because never before have they experienced such a situation that is taking place in Cameroon now. Remember in 1992, it was different. It was different because the man who was in the center of the whole controversy, that was John Frundi, himself was not ready to fight for his victory. In 2018, but back again to 1992, the man who was in the center of the whole controversy, John Frundi, was not ready to fight for his victory, but the people were ready to fight with him to get his victory. Remember the very famous statement John Frundi made, that look at my armpit, there is no hair. John Frundi was not ready, and he said he was not ready for bloodshed in Cameroon. In 2018, Professor Maurice Kamto was ready for all, but the people somehow were not showing the kind of enthusiasm, the kind of zeal, that kind of readiness. And then here we come, 2025. The man who is in the center of the whole thing, Issa Chioma Bakari, that everybody, even people who did not talk well or good about him, are beginning to confirm that he is the winner of the election. He is ready to fight. He is ready to die for his victory. And he has the people. So now, government is experiencing something that they do not like. Now, there is a big question. In 1992, Frundi was placed under house arrest for close to 3 months, thanks to instructions from the international community and all of that. In 2018, Professor Maurice Kamto was arrested, thrown behind bars for 9 months. Now, 2025, Issa Chioma Bakari has not been arrested. But what we are getting from our insider is that an instruction came from the presidency telling Atanga not to tell uniform officers to force their way into Issa Chiroma's residence to arrest him. And that even if he gets out and drives through the street of Garoua, he will not be arrested. Why? Because government is afraid of what is happening at the moment in Cameroon. They have realized that it is not all about the Grand North. It is the entire nation. It is the entire nation. They don't want Douala to become the Grand North as it is at the moment. They don't want the West region, because the Northwest and the Southwest are already in a situation that is giving government officials sleepless nights. So the instruction coming probably from Ferdinand Gongo, who is still the one having his senses intact, is that Paul Atanga, our man who is good at bullying Cameroonians, oppressing Cameroonians, insulting Cameroonians, he jokes with a very important ministry, the Ministry of Territorial Administration. He jokes with it as if he is joking with his wife in his bedroom. Because for Paul Atanga to come out and be talking about Coton Sport of Garoua, Real Madrid, is this what is supposed to come from a minister, a government minister? He thinks that he's a comedian, but he's not a comedian. He is that person who is going to bring the regime to its knees. His actions are going to lead to the downfall of not only Biya, but the entire system. And now, what is happening is that he has been given an instruction not to go further. But what the international community, what political pundits, skeptics, observers, lovers of politics, what they are asking is, why is it that every time there is a video leak showing election malpractice, showing things that are not supposed to take place on election day, the perpetrators are doing it for just one party, the CPDM? That is what people don't seem to understand. It is beyond people's imagination that every time, be it in Batibo, where Batibo overnight has a population that has never existed in terms of number, be it in Dian, the Prime Minister's area. Besides, there is a message from the acting president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement to the Prime Minister. But what I laughed at the whole thing when he wrote that letter to the Prime Minister, asking the Prime Minister to tell the Minister of Territorial Administration to demilitarize the Grand North, Garoua in particular. The Prime Minister doesn't have that kind of power. He does not. We know that he's Prime Minister and head of government, but he does not have that kind of power. Our brother is just a figurehead. The only thing they do is use him to go and deceive the people of the Southwest region, especially the people of Ndian, who are living in a kind of condition that I don't know how to describe it. That's why he was so proud to tell the people that he is the legs of the president. You see, the acting president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement has written to the Prime Minister, telling the Prime Minister that they should demilitarize the Grand North, especially Garoua. They should demilitarize Garoua because they will not enjoy the consequences of their own action. And that is a fact. Because the people of the Grand North, when you talk about the people of Cameroon, each and every group of people in Cameroon have their peculiarity. The Bamilekes are known for investment, and they have invested everywhere in the country. And because of their fear that something might happen to their sweat, their years of toiling, they couldn't stand up and fight for Professor Maurice Kamto. The people of the Grand North don't have that. Oh yes, they don't. And they are not going to sit and watch you take their brother. They are going to fight. They are already showing just a sample of what they can do. Yes, Professor Maurice Kamto was put under house arrest. Issa Chioma is in his house, but outside his house, the soldiers are far away. The people are the ones who are actually in front of his house, guarding his house, ready for anything that is going to happen. So government is not finding that funny. Government is not finding it easy. That is the fact. And then you have Littoral. Don't forget, when there is a crisis of this nature, there are people who might not sympathize, they might not be supporters, they might not be lovers of Issa Chioma, but they will take advantage of the fact to come out and create havoc, because during that period of havoc, they will loot. They will carry their other mischievous acts. And so, government is aware of that. And government is having sleepless nights. The West region is not going to be left out. Yaoundé, the capital, there are already information filtering out of the military sector that there are soldiers who sympathize with Issa Chioma Bakari, and they are just waiting. They are waiting for any kind of thing that will push that last nerve, that will trigger them, and they will act. So all of this put together is like a bomb waiting to explode. I told you Cameroon is a time bomb, ticking, tick, tick, tick. It's like we are 3 more ticks to explosion. And so government, this is the time. If they have never been wise, this is the time they have to be wise. Mr. Biya was not born to rule Cameroon forever. Mr. Biya was not elected by Cameroonians to be president of Cameroon. So these guys have to just allow the man to go and have his rest. 93. What does he want? What does Mr. Biya want? Wealth, he has it aplenty. Children, he has. Houses, he has. He can go to Vomeka. Nobody cares. Let him go there and rest and face his people who are not even happy with him. But because you have miscreants, you have some recalcitrant fellows who have sucked the country dry and are still struggling to suck the remaining milk in that feeding bottle. And they are so scared of what will happen to them if somebody new should take over and time for accountability is announced. They are so scared that they have decided to make sure Mr. Biya stays there and dies in power. The likes of Ngongo, the likes of Ayolo, the likes of Louis Paul Motase, who manages the Ministry of Finance as if it's his private business, dishing out money the way he wants. And then Chantal, the president's wife, who is now like Grace Mugabe, running the affairs of the country alongside those cronies of the head of state. Now the head of state himself has become a prisoner of his own system because he has nothing to do, nothing to say. It's a whole gang against him, and he's towing the line of the gang. But look at every video that has been leaked. Who are those perpetrating the act of electoral or election malpractice? It is either Elekam or a member of the CPDM party. People who have been paid by the party. But because Cameroonians are just who they are, we are so egocentric, we are so self-centered, we are so selfish, never minding others or just us. That is what is happening. Because you see a young man, you see how miserable he looks. They tell you he has signed that he has voted. How many times? 15 times. His face is exposed. If I were the young man, I will be very careful. Because if I was in his place, I will be very careful. Especially in a country like Cameroon. Because when anger will get to a certain level, people like him are not going to be safe. They are not going to be. Why put yourself, in such a pool of risk? Because you want to defend a government that is the architect of your misfortune, the architect of you looking the miserable way that you look. It doesn't make sense. What is happening in Cameroon at the moment? Issa Chioma is not even the one talking about his victory again. Akere Mona, Ndoki Michel, preliminary results show Issa Chioma far ahead. Even big wigs within the government are aware. The mistake is when you hear them like Jean de Dieu, these are people who talk without reasoning, not knowing that their own words can be analyzed and the truth can be deduced from what they are saying. When he comes out to say the votes Issa Chioma has are the votes of Professor Maurice Kamto Cameroon Renaissance movement. What is he telling you? He knows. It is not by chance or coincidence that we have more than 8 million Cameroonians who registered to vote. No. It is not by chance. The groundwork was carried out by Professor Maurice Kamto and the Cameroon Renaissance movement. Nobody can take it from him. They did a marvelous job to kind of reawaken that political spirit in every Cameroonian, to make Cameroonians see election again as a means through which they can voice their frustration and kick out an inept government that has been there for more than 4 decades. And so, it has gotten to that point where the government of Mr. Biya is in a very tight corner. Panic, fear, frustration. These things have changed camp. They are no longer in the camp of the people of Cameroon and the opposition. No. Panic, fear, frustration, sleepless nights are now in the camp of the government. And they talk about the constitution. On every television set, they are talking about the constitution. People who play with the constitution like they play with their wives at home, without the wife having any choice to say yes or no. They're talking about the constitution. Let us take the latest one, the publishing of the national list of registered voters. It is in the constitution, and mind you, Elecam did not do it. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Elecam did not do it. They're talking about the constitution, respect of law. There is no law in the country. There is no law in Cameroon. A journalist is kidnapped, tortured in the most brutal manner you can find on earth, killed. His corpse has been in the mortuary for 2 years and counting. And that is the country where there is law. Journalists are handcuffed to the hospital bed, chained. They die. That is the country you talk about law? Oh, please, come on. Cut that crap. There is no law. Absolutely not. So, it is going to be like this. It is going to be like this. But you see that any and everything that has a beginning has an end. It is the end of the regime. It is the end. If they cannot see the handwriting on the wall, they mistake that the Constitutional Council, I have said it. I am very happy that Eno Abrams Egbe, because I care very much about these guys who are from the other side of the language coin. That's the English-speaking extraction. I still root for them. I still have some sympathy for them. But you see, I'm happy that Eno Abrams Egbe is kind of putting himself there. Let Suse go ahead and be running his mouth. He is what of Elecam. Atanga, Clement of the Constitutional Council. Listen, where he is at the moment, he can hardly sleep. He can hardly sleep. Because they know that when the country goes into total chaos, they are responsible. They are responsible. And when this government will not be in power, I don't know where some of them will hide their heads. It is so sad. How can a people, a few hundreds of people, who are managing the affairs of the country, committing all kinds of atrocities, how can they have a night of sleep looking at all what is happening around them? Do they really have a conscience? That is the question. That is the question. Because, and then we have these opposition leaders that I don't know where they come from. I don't want to talk again about Cabral Libya. I don't want to talk about O.C. Joshua Nambanki. You see their reactions and you know that these are people who are not really opposition leaders. But thank God that some of us had seen it a long time ago. We had seen it a long time ago. These guys are behaving as if they were not candidates. Oh, they're going to tell you, oh, they respect the constitution of the country, listen, they don't respect any constitution. They are for the government. Yeah. We were not expecting the enemy to come from the opposition. The enemy was always going to come out of that government because they know what is done within that government. They know all the tricks in the book that the government has been using to stay in power. Professor Maurice Kamto comes from there. He knows. Issa Chioma comes from there. He knows. Bello Buba comes from there. He knows. But why are people not asking the question? Akere Muna is with Bello Buba. Akere Muna is not with Issa Chioma Bakari. And Akere Muna is telling you that Issa Chioma Bakari has won. He did not say his candidate, Bello Buba. Yes. Mishan Doki is not for Issa Chioma, but she's telling you that when you take the preliminary results that they have, Issa Chioma is far ahead of Mr. Biya. So why are they doing this? Why do they think that they must continue to manage the affairs of Cameroon? Why? That time has come. That time has come. What we are seeing in Cameroon, oh God, I am so praying hard that the 15-day time frame should not elapse. We should just keep waiting and waiting, because if Atanga Clement comes to that room to declare Biya winner, how else did they make this kind of mistake to tell Cameroonians that you can participate in the vote counting before? It was not like that. That is the mistake they made. When it is time for you to be kicked out by Allah, when Allah wants you to go, He makes you become stupid. You make mistakes. Cameroonians are more than determined this time around. They have been there from the kickoff minute, monitoring everything. Vote, monitor, vote, monitor, vote, monitor. And finally, there is no way they can deceive the people again. It is never going to be the same. And if Issa Chioma becomes the president of Cameroon, he is not going to enjoy the same luxury Mr. Biya has enjoyed over the years. Cameroonians are so enlightened that the very first thing we want to hear when he takes over is that you cannot rule Cameroon for more than 2 mandates. That is the first one. We don't care who you are. You cannot rule Cameroon for more than 2 terms. The first term, when you win, you rule. You can run for the second term. If you win, you rule, but you cannot run for a third term. We are tired of having the same people managing the country, usurping power, sucking the country dry, rendering Cameroonians hopeless, butchering the economy, and then leaving us in abject poverty. Us, yes, we are in the diaspora and we are fine. But to be honest with you, we are not fine without our country. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Cameroon beckons. Cameroon beckons. The money we work is not for us to stash them in banks here. No, it's for us to invest back in Cameroon. The diaspora investment, very important for the development of every country in Africa. But we cannot invest in Cameroon. We cannot invest in Cameroon. Not with such a government in place. Not with such a government. To set up a radio station in Cameroon, if I tell you the hurdles I had to jump, I will pay here, I will pay there, I had to pay there, I had to pay there. My goodness. And There are administrators now who don't even ask it with an iota of shame. No. They call you on the phone and tell you, Mr. Ote, send my own envelope. It's a shame. And so we cannot stay here and sit quiet as if everything is fine back home. But this is the time. This is the time. We're done. We're done and we're done. We just need somebody new. Like the Bishop of Yagua said, we don't care who that devil is. If Chioma is that devil, we will buy holy water. We will buy olive oil, whatever they call it. We don't care what we will pray and throw that water on that devil. We just need a devil to take over from Mr. Biya. We are done. We are done with Mr. Biya. The guy is not fit to manage Cameroon. He has no idea. Nothing at all. Oh, they say he's a politician. Yes, he's a politician. He's not a statesman. We need a statesman. Because statesmen think about the next generation. Statesmen don't think about the next election. Only politicians think about the next election. So, he's a politician. They are very correct. But as for saying that he is wise, Mr. Biya is not wise. CPDM militants say Mr. Biya is wise because he said after voting to Charles Ndongo, can you imagine that the president is interviewed by just one person? A private media cannot ask the president a question. Only Charles Ndongo has the right to ask the president a question. The general manager of CRTV leaves to come ask the president a question. Only Charles Ndongo has the right to ask the president a question. Nobody has the right to ask Mr. Biya. At the airport, it will be CRTV. It will be Charles Ndongo. After voting, it will be Charles Ndongo. Mr. Biya has never had a press conference as president where we see pressmen from other media organs, both private and public, meet to ask him questions. Never. Mr. Biya does not do that because he knows that the kind of questions that will come from the private media is never going to be the same question. Look at the charade that Emerobe Bina and the other one who went to interview Cabral Libi. I used to respect Emerobe Bina a lot because it's one big brother. When we were at CRTV Bolova, I used to listen to him report. You get the weight of his report, and you know that you're dealing with somebody who is very fine upstairs as far as journalism is concerned. Emerobe Bina, Wamba Sobngu, Tayo, Kevin Buddha. When we were in Bolova, these are guys that we respected them a lot. We looked up to them for guidance, and they did guide us well. They did guide us well. But when I see what they're doing, I don't blame them. They're working for the state media. They're working for the state media. I don't blame them. They selected just one candidate, Cabral Libi, to go meet him in his office for the dons to be talking about, I am third. Oh, he is third. He knows that he is third. How does he know that he is third? When you guys say there are more than 3,000 and the results are not yet in, how does he know? You are okay with that because he is conceding defeat. To who? He did not mention the first person. Charade. The other one came out to say Mr. Biya has won and he's congratulating him. That is very okay with the government. But when Issa Chioma Bakari and the people who voted say they know that he's the one who has won, Mr. Issa Chioma Bakari, it's a problem. Government has a problem with that. Things are never going to be the same. Inshallah. Change is on the way. Change is on the way because God has willed it. Allah has willed it. Mashallah.